Hello, and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. Getting down to the end. This is the last pre-game show I'll be doing. Kind of sad, isn't it? Of course, if the Bears didn't suck so much, the show couldn't continue because they were in the playoffs. But we know that isn't going to happen because the Bears are 6-10. Yeah. So this week is the last game of the season, and then the playoffs start. And the playoffs are my particular favorite time of the year. It would even be better if my team were in it, but I do love the playoffs because generally you get to see really good football. So that's what I'm hoping. So this week, as we all know, or maybe not know, the Bears 6-10 are playing Minnesota 7-9, and it's in Minnesota. So we'll get to it, but first I want to say one thing. I want to give a shout out to Virginia McCaskey, Mama McCaskey, on the 5th, January 5th. She turned 99. Okay, Bears. If this doesn't give you incentive to turn this thing around next year and go to the playoffs and then the Super Bowl, I don't know what does. This woman can't live forever, all right? We got to give her another good season or two. Please. Man. Okay, so let's start talking about Minnesota. I'm not going to dive well in because it doesn't really matter, all the stats, because neither team is going to the playoffs. Both teams pretty much stink. Although the numbers on Minnesota, it must be their defense that's bad because their offense, they've got some damn good numbers, some of these players, and so they should have a better record than 7-9, which leads me to believe that because they missed the playoffs again, their coach Mike Zimmer is going to be one of the casualties on Black Monday, this coming Monday. Well, we know Nagy's going to be gone. I believe Mike Zimmer's going to be gone. I already told you Urban Meyer was going to get fired. He got fired. And to be honest with you, I think Pete Carroll in Seattle could be on the bubble. Who else? People say Vic Fangio, but I don't think so. I think they're going to give him some more time. So those are my picks so far that people are going to get fired, but I'm sure there's going to be a surprise or two in there. So let's start talking. So they did announce that Kirk Cousins will be playing on Sunday. He's off the COVID list. And I'll just give you a few stats of his. I'm not going to go into great detail. He's got 1,379 passing yards. In 15 games, 30 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. That is a really good ratio. So there, is good. They've got a really good running back, Delvin Cook. He's only played 12 games, and he's got 1,080 yards. That's something. So we know we're going to have to stop him. And if Hicks is in the game for us, that's why I'm wearing his jersey today because to a shout out to him because Sunday could be his last game with the Bears, which I truly hope that they can come up with a deal that he can live with so he can finish a Bear. But we'll see. Because people don't, in this day and age, don't retire with the same team that they've been on a long time. It just doesn't happen like the olden days. And then they've got a good wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. He's got 1,509 yards in 16 games with 9 TDs. Pretty darn good. And then right behind him, Adam Thielen, who's been around a long time, has 726 yards in only 13 games. So they've got some offensive weapons there which makes me believe. I don't know why they only have a record of 7-9. They obviously, number one, aren't finishing games. So they must be making some mistakes, right? Their defense has 44 sacks, and that's only 2 behind the Bears. They have 14 interceptions with 8 fumbles. And that I'm going to talk about in a second compared to our defense. So that's the Minnesota Vikings. Again, I don't really get why their record is 7-9 because all on paper they look like they should be going to the playoffs. They should at least be 500, if not better than that. I don't get it. So I haven't watched a lot of Minnesota games this year, so I can't speak on it from personal knowledge. But obviously, their defense has let points. I didn't look at that stat, but they must be giving up a lot of points, and they must not be finishing games. So that's probably the problem. So our leading running back y'all know is David Montgomery. He's played 12 games, but so has Delvin Cook, and he has 1,080 yards, and our running back has 777. Now, Delvin Cook, I guarantee, has a really good offensive line, which we do not, and they don't have Matt Nagy calling their games either. Mr. Mooney, our top receiver, my fave, you know that. I've been calling him out for the last 2 years, saying he will be number one, and I was right, and he'll be number one going into next season. He has 929 yards. I hope Nagy, Bill Lazor, whoever's calling the plays, gets this guy 1,000 yard. So what does he need? 31 yards to get to 1,000. That would be really, no, it's not 31, 71, Lynn. Pickled. 71 yards to get to 1,000 yards, and I sure would like to see him get that. So I hope Nagy doesn't fuck it up and ruin it for him, because that would be great. At least his second season, he has 1,000 yards, and that will just help moving forward to next season, and he's going to have more than that. I guarantee it. So our defense, as I was talking about, is they've got 46 sacks, 8 interceptions, and 8 fumbles. And except for the interceptions, we mirror Minnesota's defense, because they have 44 sacks. They have, 14 interceptions and 8 fumbles. So they beat us in the interception department. I'd like to see us Bears go after Kirk Cousins and raise that number for the last season. And I surely would love to see Quinn get a couple sacks in this game. Let's make it a nice 20. Nice round number. I'd love to see him get more, but, let's go for at least 2 for him this week. So really, the teams are similar in a lot of ways. On paper, Minnesota looks a lot better than the Bears, so we never know, right? We never know who's going to win, especially after the last few weeks. Although New York, it was a great game. I loved beating them, but it was New York, okay? And they really suck. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. I always like to see a win. I don't think it's going to hurt us one way or another in the draft. Of course, another win means we go down one more notch, quite possibly. So, but we'll see. You know what? We'll see what happens. As always, I just like to see a good game, period. If the Bears win or lose, I want to see a good game, okay? So that's it about that. So there's so many rumors going around. You guys are hearing probably a lot more than I do. I just read about it, about when Nagy's gone next Monday. Who the Bears are going to bring in. And there are so many candidates I've been reading about. But most of them, if not all of them, are offensive coordinators right now. And they have not, majority of them, not ever been a head coach. And to be quite honest with you, yeah, there's a lot of young guys out there that need a chance and can prove to be a head coach. But we just went through 4 years of that, and it didn't work. Did it? No. I don't mind if you bring in an offensive head coach, a guy who's more offensive than defensive as a head coach. But I would prefer, this is my only opinion, that we bring in somebody who's been a head coach before, preferably of the NFL. Okay? So that brings me to who I would like to see the Bears get. I don't know if it'll happen. Part of me says they'll probably screw it up and it won't be him. And part of me says it could be him. I would love to see it. So my pick is Jim Harbaugh, who is currently the University of Michigan head coach. And I think, certain coaches, pros and college, usually have one of these kind of clauses in their contracts where if a certain team fires their head coach and then they come to like a Jim Harbaugh, in his contract, a lot of coaches have these, that if, let's just say he has it in his contract, if the Chicago Bears come and want to hire me as their head coach, that he can void his contract with the University of Michigan. And they sign those. And I'm pretty sure that Jim Harbaugh has something similar in that, because I'm sure he wanted to come back to the NFL after he went back to Michigan. Maybe not. Maybe he's really happy. It's a pretty good life. If he keeps winning, he could retire in Michigan But I don't know. So, but if he'd like to come back, but I'm also hearing that if he does come back, it's between two teams, the Bears and the Raiders. The Bears, we're gonna talk by why the Bears would be interested, and the Raiders are. He also worked for them shortly, and the family loves him. The owners love him. So we'll see. So as I said, I'm just going to give you a little information about Harbaugh, unless you already know it. But he's currently, the head coach at the University of Michigan, where he went for 4 years, and he was a quarterback there with them under Bo Schembechler. And then he was drafted in 1987, and he played for the Bears from 87 to 93 under Dick Ditka. And, no, actually, Dick left in 92, so he played for him until 92. And then he spent times with the Indiana Colts, the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't realize all these teams. Honestly, I thought it was just Indiana. Indiana Colts, Baltimore Ravens, Los Angeles Chargers, and then the Carolina Panthers after retiring in 2001 after 14 season. See, that was one thing I did not know about him, that he played for so many different teams. Honestly, I didn't. But so he was a quarterback coach for the Oakland Raiders from 2002 to 2003, so he worked for them. Then he went to San Diego State College and was the head coach from 2004 to 2006, turned that program around. He went over to Stanford in 2007 till 2010, turned that program around. Then he went to the NFL, and he joined the San Francisco 49ers, as most of you probably already know. And he was a coach from 2011 to 2014, and they went to a Super Bowl with him. Couple playoffs, Super Bowl. He lost the Super Bowl to his brother, Jim Harbaugh. But he had Colin Kaepernick on that team, and for a while he had that quarterback looking good. And in my opinion, he's not a good quarterback. So everybody says because he did the kneeling shitness, that's why he's not the NFL. Bullshit. If he were good, I mean really good, football teams wouldn't care, and they deal with it, and he'd be on their team. So that's why he's not playing, because he's not good enough, not being good enough, and then the trouble he caused, no one's going to pick him up. So there was some problems, though, in San Francisco, and that's the one thing that bothers me a little bit, is that he left. It was a mutual agreement, from everything I've read, that he leaves. So something happened. I don't know if it was San Francisco higher-ups or him. He can be a bit feisty. Sometimes I've seen him on the sidelines at the Michigan games, and at least 3 times, he got penalties for running out on the field and yelling at the refs when you're not allowed to do that at certain times, which cost their teams 15 yards every time he got one. Yeah. So I know that. So he can be very feisty, but from what I understand, his players love playing for him. And I would imagine. So, you know what, he's got a lot. He you know what, I think that Chicago would be a better fit for him, of course, because I want him. But he doesn't have to go far. He lives in Michigan. It's still the Midwest. If his wife likes that kind of life, depends. Now, if she wants to live in warmth all the time, then that's the Raiders. The Raiders have a good team. They've got a quarterback like the Chicago Bears, but we've got a much younger quarterback, and I believe with the right mentoring and coaching, he could be better than Carr. Let's hope so, at least. So, and the Bears are not that far off. Everyone thinks, oh my God, it's a rebuild. It's really not, because he's got a quarterback. He's got a running game. He's got some tight ends. Several of the tight ends contracts are up at the end of this year, but you can always go get tight ends, so that's not an issue. But we've got a couple good ones right now. We've got a defensive line that's pretty good and getting better. Some of the backups are pretty good too. We do need, for sure, another linebacker to help out Roquan Smith. I hope they bring back Ovaltree. His contract's up at the end of this year. I do hope they bring him back, but we need another linebacker or two for sure. And we do need help in the backfield, cornerbacks, safeties. We need some more of those. We need now 27. I can't think of his name right now. He came. He started playing the last 3 games, and he's looking pretty good. So maybe he'll be a surprise. But we definitely need somebody to help Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson. He didn't have that great of a year this year. So, but we definitely need backfield on our defensive, and of course our offensive line. So really, there's a lot of places that we're good. And it's the offensive line that we need to really work on. We need another receiver to complement Mr. Mooney, and preferably taller, because that's what we need. So we need a good, solid second receiver for him, and if not a couple more. But you could pick those guys up in the late rounds in the draft. But really our biggest concern is the offensive line and our backfield, in my opinion. And then we need another receiver or two. So it's not a total rebuild, although we have 31 players that are on free agency when this season's over. Yeah, you heard me, 31. Some of them are of names we have to worry about, and some of them aren't. It's both Dalton and Fields is on there. Well, Dalton's gone. That's why Nagy's playing him, so other teams can see him, because he only had a 1-year contract. Now, Folds and Dalton. Foles his contract's up. They could bring him back as a second, as a backup to Fields, and if he signs a lesser contract. But I don't know if anybody's going to come after him. So we do need a backup quarterback if these two don't come. But we're going to talk about the free agencies in next week's show on Monday. But in Harbaugh, we'll see. The Bears have supposedly told Nagy a couple days ago that he's no longer going to be retained. So that means they are allowed by the new rules to start talking to candidates. So I hope they're at least talking to Harbaugh to see if he's even interested and if they could afford him. I think they could afford him. I really do. Because he's got to kind of prove himself again. Although he did beat Ohio State finally in the Big Ten championship, but he lost, and they lost badly in the college playoffs. But he played an SEC team, Georgia. Anybody in the SEC, they're like this close to pros. I swear to God, they get these guys that the Big Ten almost never can compete with an SEC team. It's just a fact. Doesn't mean they're bad. They just can't compete. They don't get the talent in the Big Ten as they do on an SEC team. Period. So we'll see. My pick is Harbaugh. Let me know what you guys think. All I know at the end of the day, is I want a quarterback that's going to teach and mentor Fields, and that is going to keep this team together. I will say that Nagy is a good motivator. That was the one thing he could do, and he kept this team together in a really god-awful season with a lot of perils, with the COVID and injuries. But he can't manage a game. He can't manage a team when it comes to the games, and he can't call a game. He doesn't call a game to the strength of his team. He calls a game he wants to call. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, come on, Bears. Bring Jim Harbaugh back. And let's see, maybe we'll be going to the Super Bowl in a couple years. And remember, in 2 years, in 2024, it's here in Vegas, baby. Yeah. So that's it. You know what? There's not a lot to talk about when you have a team that basically has not won many games. It's the last game of the season. They're not in the playoffs. They're going to fire their coach, which we'll have something to talk about on Monday, that's for sure, because it's going to be a victory Monday. Whether we win or lose on Sunday, as long as they fire Nagy, it's a victory Monday. So, victory Monday. I did want to give out a couple shout-outs to some of my regulars that have been with me since last year, actually. This is my second full year doing the show, which I totally love. I'm having a blast, and I appreciate anybody and everybody who watches. Hopefully the Bears get better next year. My viewership will be up, but whatever. But these two guys, there's actually three. I have one. His tag name is Sold by Wallen, and he knows who he is. And I love you, buddy. Thanks for following me, my friend. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him forever, and he's awesome. And then these two guys I don't know, or these two people I don't know. Their one tag name is Collins SK85. So it's COLLINSK85 and DG Daniels. These two, without fail, make comments after every show, and they're always great comments, and they're always very kind to me, and they always have something good to say about, their thoughts are always smart, and they're true Bears fans, I can tell, and they're true Let's Talk Chicago Bears fans, okay? And I'm loving it, okay? You guys are awesome. I mean, I have other people who write me, but these two particular people from last year to this year have been writing after every show. So I just wanted to let you know it has not gone unnoticed and unappreciated because, I love you guys. So, next on Monday, we will talk about hopefully Nagy getting fired and all the 31 free agents that we're going to have to deal with after this season. The Bears have a lot of work to do. And let's see, because we don't know what's going to happen with Pace, too. See, the thing is that people are like, Pace is moving up. Well, unless the Bears have a guy in mind for the GM right now, and he's going to be hired on Monday, I don't know if Pace is moving up, because then the Bears have to, if Pace were to move up, then you'd have a GM opening and a head coach opening. Well, generally the GM hires the head coach, but you don't want to take too long on getting your head coach signed. So if they're in a big search for a GM, then they have to wait on the head coach. So I don't know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? Unless they state it from the fact right away to the GM, which I don't know. That we're hiring the head coach. We've already hired him, blah, blah, which is very unusual. So I'm not sure what the Bears are going to do because of that. Usually, so if Pace were to move up, we'd have a GM and head coach vacancy, and they'd have to fill the GM right away, who can hire the head coach. So that's usually how it works. So I don't know what's going to happen. Inquiring minds want to know. So we'll see, guys, but it's kind of sad. It's coming to the end. I hate when football's about to be over. I love it, and I get so depressed. I'm not kidding. And then there's nothing. I don't watch anything until baseball starts, and I watch it, but I don't love baseball like I love football. I just don't. So, but I got a grandbaby coming in a couple months, so I'm pretty sure that's going to keep me occupied. And some things I have planned, so which you guys don't care about. So as always, thank you all for watching. I love you guys. I appreciate it. I really do. I do. And it's been fun. It's not over yet. We got at least one more show, if not two. And then what I generally do is then I come back for the draft, and I'll be back on the draft. But there's really not much to talk about unless the Bears go out and get some really high-profile free agent, but so I'll at least do two more shows until the draft. So, but again, love you guys, appreciate you, and as always, as I say it in my show, be kind, love one another, stop hate. We're in this all together. I heard a joke the other day. They said, "Yeah, this virus, Corona and all its variants are supposed to be over in February." Yeah, what year of February? It's like, yeah, this has been 2 years now. No one thought it was going to last this long. And it's bullshit. I am so over wearing the masks. Although when I was in Tennessee over the holiday, nobody's wearing masks in Tennessee. But in Vegas, they are. Because we're a hospitality state and we got to stay healthy. So, but I'm over it. Okay, I'm just telling you. So, and be kind, because you don't know what kind of day or what's going on in somebody's life. So if somebody needs some help, help them out. If it's simple as reaching something in a grocery store, I know because I'm damn short. I appreciate it because I can't reach stuff half the time, and people help me. So I appreciate it. You know, or open the door for somebody when they're walking out of a store or in a store. Simple things like that make the day. I was in somewhere the other day and I was buying something and I can't forget and I was like, you know, I had some change but not enough. And this lady goes, "Oh, I have that change here." And I said, "Oh, no, no, it's okay. I'll just pull out $1." But this lady was insistent. She's like, "No, here, take the change." And it was like 55 cents. It wasn't a penny, you know, and but that was nice. And I said, "Boy, if we had more people like you in this world, life would be a lot better. I can tell you that much." But if you guys all do what I say, then life will be better for us and it makes everybody feel good. Okay? So I love you guys. Go Bears. I'll see you Monday. And as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. Bye bye.